A horse is a unique investment. Certainly, it's a matter of money, often of years of dedication and work. And almost always, it's a measure of admiration and love. But every year, thousands of these magnificent animals suffer devastating injuries when the delicate skin of a horse meets the unforgiving edge of a high-tensile steel wire fence.
I've seen tendons cut, extensor tendons in the front of the leg, flexor tendons at the back of the leg. I've seen them involve joints. I've seen them to the point where it's gotten down to the bone, and you can actually see scoring in the bone. Because what happens with a high tensile fence is that it doesn't, once a horse gets into it, it doesn't stretch, it doesn't give, and it acts just like a knife.
I had one horse that ran into the fence and it bounced off the fence, and it bounced in such a way it went over the fence and it broke its hip, and I had to have it destroyed.
I get complaints from the owners that it's not unusual to find an animal that had 150, 200 stitches. Sometimes the animal would have to be put down because it was just damaged too badly.
It was just too dangerous. So my fence was in perfect shape. It was only maybe a year and a half old, and I had them take it down.
That's why it's important to choose the right fence, a fence that protects but does not harm. And that's why the safest choice in fencing is Bayco Finish Line, developed by Bayer Corporation, a monofilament polymer fencing material that is strong, flexible, and in the event of a horse becoming entangled, is designed to break away, setting the horse free, offering your horses the greatest protection against the injuries and harm that can come from other fencing materials.
I think with Finish Line, we're not going to see that problem because it's a flexible fence that will break if they pull on it too hard, where the fence will break and the horse won't.
Horses they're like kids. They get into everything. Myself, I would rather have a horse get in the fence and break the fence and get out uninjured, because I can fix the fence.
That's what makes Bayco Finish Line so unique. Strong enough to secure your horses, yet forgiving enough to protect them against fencing encounters. After all, the fence is there for the sake of the horses. But Finish Line is still plenty strong. Each polymer line has a breaking point of nearly 1,250 pounds. In a 5-strand configuration, this provides over 6,000 pounds of containment strength, yet will stretch up to 20% of its static length when stressed. But most importantly, should a horse become entangled or impacted with too much force, Finish Line is designed to break away to protect the horse, then easily be repaired. This makes Bayco Finish Line the ideal fencing material for protecting your horses, a fence that will contain but not harm.
We moved here in '84, had the high tensile up for probably a year, maybe a year and a half, and then we changed to the Finish Line and have had it ever since. Haven't had a horse cut yet.
Finish Line is unrivaled in terms of the protection it provides livestock. But issues of durability, ease of maintenance, and installation are also important considerations when choosing a fencing material. And here again, Bayco Finish Line is the clear winner. Finish Line is flexible and rugged. This means it can withstand the many stresses that time and nature can throw at it. Yet, unlike either coated or uncoated wire, it retains much of its original shape. The characteristics of wire means that it quickly loses its shape and must frequently be retensioned. Bayco Finish Line, on the other hand, persistently holds its tension, and when an adjustment is necessary, a simple tug at the end point brings it back to shape. There are no costly, cumbersome tensioners. And its durability also extends to appearance. Finish Line is highly visible in either white or black. Its polymer material, developed by Bayer, means there is no rust. It retains its strength and flexibility through a temperature range of -40 to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Yet, in the extreme cases of brush fire, will melt, setting the horses free. And unlike other lesser monofilament substitutes, only Bayco Finish Line is treated with special UV inhibitors, so your fence will retain its beautiful appearance for decades, resisting fading and breakdown, and is warranted for 7 years.
Well, the Bayco fence always gives you a clean look. You never have the sagging, you never have the corrosion. You always have that clean, fresh look of the white appearance of the product.
And Bayco Finish Line is easy to install and since it can use either hole-drilled or side-bracketed posts, it can be used in a retrofit as well as a fresh installation.
I did all the fencing myself. I came out in probably a weekend after the posts were placed and ran a half a mile to a mile of finish line all around by myself.
Bayco fence gives the horse owner freedom to enjoy his animal without spending a lot of time building fence, repairing fence, and maintaining fence.
But in the end, it all comes back to the horses.
You know, I have an awful lot of mares and foals here, and sometimes the mares and foals are together. If you get a colt, they might duck through it, and they'll come right back through it, but nobody gets hurt.
My wife called about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and said there's a baby under the fence. A wire fence could have been, deadly to that baby. One, it probably wouldn't have stretched as much for the baby to slide under, and the baby could have got caught in that fence, or the mother got caught in that fence, and you could lose that foal.
There is truly nothing as magnificent as a horse. And with all the time, money, and effort that must be invested, why choose a fence that could do them harm? Bayco Finish Line, with its strength, elasticity, and forgiveness, will provide protection for the life of your horses.